experiential learning is very different from traditional classroom learning. I remember, I think, the famous saying, knowing is not enough, we must apply. And willing is not enough, we must do. So I think real learning happens through doing, through experience. I think if you go back to the Kolb's, the learning cycle, he talks about the same thing. He talks about, concrete experience and reflective observation, talks about abstract conceptualization that happens next, and then concrete experience. So I think all the three speakers today are going to talk about experience, different kinds of experience. And the most important thing about experiential learning is that it involves a lot of observation, analysis, and reflection. And real learning happens only when we reflect, when we stay back, and then we reflect. I remember this interesting anecdote about Nadal, the famous tennis player, the tennis champion. He was picked up very early by his coach in the school, and his coach was saying that he was not the brightest star in the school. He was definitely not the brightest tennis player, but I picked him up for some reason because the best backed out and then something happened, so I picked him up. And Nadal went on to become a champion. And the coach had said he was not the brightest. Probably he wouldn't have picked him up if the best had opted for his coaching. But interestingly, when Nadal became a champion, and then when they were asking him the same questions, he was saying, I think the real learning happened for him through reflection. So every time he serves, in between his serves, he keeps bouncing the ball on this tennis racket for a long time. And sometimes he has been fined by the referee also for taking a long time to serve. But he says, I use that time to reflect. What went wrong in my last shot? What did I do well? What I did not do well? What can I do differently next time I'm going to play a shot, next time I'm going to serve? So reflection. I think a lot of learning happens through reflection. But when you talk to L&D managers like us, in organizations, they say, where is the time for reflection? Train people. Take them into the classroom and just train. So I think we need a departure from conventional practices. So that's why we have three non-conventional speakers who have departed from the traditional path of learning, and they're doing training in different ways. Brigadier does a lot of training through experiential engagement and interventions. Rangraj does a lot of training, learning through theater, and Vasudev, all of us know, does a lot of training through music. So all three of them have come together today, and they're going to take us on a flight. And you cannot land, you cannot escape from this room until Vasudev signs up and say, today we're winding up. So now we're going to take off, and I will request Divya to introduce our keynote speaker for the morning, Brigadier. So over to you.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Thank you. It's my pleasure, it's an honor, in fact, to introduce Brigadier Basin. He has 34 years of experience in the Army and 12 years in the corporate world. He's a transformational facilitator, motivational speaker, an educator, and I think it can go on. So, apart from that, he's also had team building exercises in different countries like Philippines, Muscat, Singapore, and many other countries. He is a very active member in the Mumbai chapter, and he's he's the chairperson for speaker acquisition in the Mumbai chapter. So he will say more about himself. So please put your hands together for Brigadier Basin.